was new to the faith and was very zealous. Paul gets zeal. Do you know that Paul went to confront Peter publicly in Galatians chapter 2? Because Peter was eating with the uncircumcised Gentiles. Then after a while, when he saw that some Jews were coming over, he stopped eating with them. So he was behaving hypocritically. Do you know that the same Paul that fought, if you read Galatians 2, 3, 5 especially, Paul fought circumcision to the point where he said, if you think that by circumcision you get yourself aligned with God, you're actually cutting yourself off from Christ, you are blah, 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 blah. The same Paul was the one that circumcised Timothy. The same Paul that was fighting Peter was the same guy that came one day and said, when I was with the weak, I was weak. When I was under the law, I behaved like those under the law. When I was not with those under the law, I behaved like I was not under the law. Is that not the same thing he was fighting Peter for? So what does that come to tell us at the end of the day? That the disciples were wonderful human beings, but they were human beings. The truest message of Christianity is the message of Christ. Now, when you understand and you formed your basis on Christ, you can now start, okay, Paul got it here, but he missed it here. He got it here. He understood it here. Here, I don't really understand what he was trying to say. Because Paul said something. He said, I did everything to find common ground with all men. It's very difficult to find common ground with ISIS and America at the same time. I hope you know. It's very difficult to find common ground with Khan and Boko Haram. Ada, I don't know if you're listening to me.
Yes, I am.
As in, you sit down with Boko Haram and you have common ground. Then you go to Khan the next day and you still have common ground. You go they bend. The thing go they, you go they bend down. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. So yes, I wouldn't say what Paul did was a bad thing. He did everything he could to win people to the faith. But we now need to sift through it. And there are many things they did that when we think about now, we understand that even they committed errors. Of course, it is through their works that we are now able to eventually go back to where we were coming from in the first place, which is Christ. So I'm not saying, listen, here's how the hierarchy of scripture works. First things first, the red scriptures, the words of Christ. After that, anything else that follows in the New Testament that supports what Christ is saying, and anything else that follows from the old law that supports what Christ is saying. Meaning, I'll take the words of Peter over a psalm, unless they are going against the words of Christ. So when you sit down, you start being able to give hierarchy to scripture. There's some psalms that are very potent, and there's some psalms that are actually expired, because they refer to a covenant that does not exist again. So it's like milk. Milk is good and healthy. It's like your malaria medicine is good and wonderful for your body until it expires. Then it becomes a poison.
Yeah.
But that's an argument for another day, because I know people are going to go and start digging into that. But I think I try to break it down to the best of my ability. So, what's next?
All right. Before we get into today's topic, let's quickly pay some bills. It is 99.3 Nigeria info.
Absolutely.
99.3 Nigeria info. And this is Life Integer to Daddy Freeze and Ada Blessing. Hi, Daddy Freeze.
Oh yeah, we're right here, trying to make it work, and we should still take phone calls before we go in. Today's topic is going to be very soft anyway. We're just going to chat, but at the end of the day, let's take two more calls. Any WhatsApp messages so far?
Mm-hmm. Good evening, Ada and Daddy Freeze. Why is it that men of God of nowadays prefer to use their own images on the signpost rather than the images of Christ, like in those days? Stanley from Okotra.
Now, Brandy, no, and all of us they guilty. But now, branding. So let us let us just move away from that. Should I deal with today's topic? Are you guys
Okay.
ready? Are you ready, Ada? Should I just announce what we're talking about today?
Of course I am.
Okay. Now, today is a Thursday and it's 11 o'clock, so we can go a little bit under the covers. Right, Ada?
Yes, we can.
So there's this certain lady who just sent me a DM and wants to be addressed as Rex, Rex.
Okay.
She said, um, I'm trying to edit it so I don't use all her strong words inside. She said, I've been dating this guy who likes to, let me change it to make love every single day.
Okay.
And I'm wired like that. So we broke up and I started dating a guy who only likes it twice a week. Now, I'm missing my guy. Can I go back to him because of this? Or do I stay with this guy
Everyday guy.
every day? As in, I'm jumping all the things she said because it's plenty, it's long, but I don't want to, I don't want to read all of it because she went into some detail.
Okay.
So I want to ask, let's talk about this. She said she wants it every day. Is it okay for a woman to want it every day? Ada, you're a woman, Mrs. Ada. Is it possible for you to want it every day?
Just like she said to you, she's wired like that. I think it's all a personality thing. People are different. Maybe she's a.
Ada. Imagine this was a jam question. Question number 5. Ada, are you wired like that? Option A,
Okay.
yes. Option B, no. Option C,
And
most of the time.
why?
Option so
I am not.
you're not wired like that.
No, I am not. I know the thing Calabar has an effect, but I am not.
But do you know any Calabar women that are?
Um, yeah, I do. I'm not going to deny that. I do have a conversation with most girls back then in school. A friend told me, I really don't know how to get married. I don't think I'll ever get married because my sex drive is really high, and I don't think staying with just one man is going to be easy for me because it might be hard for him to be satisfying me. So even if I get married, I'm definitely going to cheat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? So even if she does get married, of course, this is not Ada, by the way, it's Ada's friend, though, before people start looking. So now, guys, too. So from both sides of the divide, I want us to take phone calls. I want us to relax a little bit because the whole week is all about Wike did this, Madagascar did not do that, Nigeria did this, Bible said that. As human beings, let's discuss this. Is it
Daddy
okay?
Freeze.
Yes.
No, you're not done talking, you tell us how you are wired. Are you the everyday kind of man, or once a week, or twice a week? Do you have a timetable, or as the spirit leads?
That spirit, as the sun rises and the sun sets, or as the sun
Mm-hmm.
sets and then the sun rises is one day. So the spirit leads in the cycle of a day, meaning sometimes that day, make I not just talk. But what I'll say eventually at the end of the day is it's I don't know. Let me allow you people to talk, then I'll crown it off.
Oh, really?
Guy, no,
Okay,
no. I will talk. I don't want to lead the conversation because if I lead the conversation, most people will tend to say yes, yes. Those that like me want to just say yes, I support him, I support, and those that don't like me just say no, no. So I want it to come from your heart, guys. How many of you want it daily, as in daily, night and day, day by day? Ladies, how many of you want it daily? Now, those of you that want it daily, how many of you are getting it daily? Let's discuss because this thing seems to bother this girl. She wants to break up a good relationship she's in now because the guy is not wired like that. The guy comes home from work and wants to sleep, and she's wondering, dude, which one is sleep again? Somebody said, depending on upbringing and how you are wired. What does upbringing have to do with this?
nah, it's not
I
upbringing.
don't think it's upbringing. I think it's the way you are wired physically. I think it's
Yeah.
a physical thing. I don't even think it's a spiritual thing because if we follow the concessions of Paul, Paul said, except when you want to take a break to pray. And it must be mutual consent. Meaning that if the wife says, I want to pray, and the husband says, you ain't praying nothing, bring that in here. You must go and surrender. You must go and
But is that
surrender
something that
it.
is happening now before
Somebody
marriage?
said, nah, food. Yes, nah, food.
Oh, do we need it in marriage?
Now, food. Many of the people that say, now food, you find out that their spouses are cheating because to you, is it food? Is it food? To
Yeah.
them, you are not giving it to them. They want to go and collect. So that now food ideology is long overspent. I don't think this it still works in today's world. Let me tell you, I haven't counseled too many people this year, but last year I counseled about 80 people. Now let me break this down to you. Out of that 80 people, 60, and they're all women, 80 women, 60 had cheated on their husbands within the last 1 year.
Women?
Yes. Out of the 80, I don't know where I put the journal. I'll read it to you. I think about 70 out of the 80 had cheated before in there at least once. And out of the 80, there were about 50 that were in concurrent relationships. And these are normal
But you think
people.
they're not getting the satisfaction?
For some it wasn't the satisfaction. For some the men didn't understand them. Some they wanted to travel. The men didn't want to travel. Women can just be funny. A guy gives you everything you want, but then you want him to follow you on one trip and he doesn't go on that trip, and then you're upset. You understand? Some,
Mm-hmm.
the men are not satisfying them and they're not hiding it. You know what? This is not working. He's not satisfied, but I don't want to leave the marriage. That last year, I made up a lot of, I came to a lot of assumptions and conclusions. I said, there was a study that came out and said 3 out of every 10 Nigerian children are born into paternity fraud, meaning they go carry their belly from outside, can't give papa for house.
Mm.
So papa just they train picking when no be own. Now, another thing I found out with it is in a country like Amsterdam, like Holland, I beg your pardon, in a place like Amsterdam where prostitution is legal, they don't have those paternity fraud figures.
Okay.
So what it means is in Nigeria, prostitution is illegal, but we are doing it inside marriage. I'm telling you, because when I most of these people were religious. Many of them go to church with their husbands. All of them said, I when I asked why, and let me tell you, I tried to get some of them out of their marriages because I felt it was a fraud for you to be dating younger boys and still be married to your husband and not want to leave your husband. I thought it was hypocrisy. I'm like, I I was even suggesting lawyers. I think you need a divorce. I don't see this is not a marriage. But at the end of the day, most of them will go up, come down, turn left, turn right, and say, you know what, they don't want to end their marriages. They want stability for their families. They want I'm like, really? Is that stability? And I remember a story of a certain lady who called me up and said she needed a producer. So I called her, one of my friends who was a producer up to do jingles for her. And it's
Okay.
just like Ada calling me one day and say, Daddy Freeze, I need someone to produce something for me. And I look through my phone and I see somebody and I recommend that person. I say, Ada, talk to this guy, he'll help you. And I totally forgot about it. Then about a year down the line, she calls me crying. Do you know what this guy did for me? My heart started to cut because I hate recommending people. My heart started to cut. That she needs to see me. That, no, 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 what this guy has done to her. So I booked an appointment with her for the next day at a joint called Utazi. It used to be on Etim and then, but it's no longer there. It's somewhere in Lekki now, I think. So we went there and sat down and she started telling me of how she gave the guy 3 million naira because the guy wanted to. I said, inside production of advert, why are you giving him 3 million naira? That the guy went to use it to buy a car for his girlfriend. And guess what? He's now getting married to his girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, I know he's getting married. He sent me an invite. That should be a good thing, shouldn't it? Until I realized that they were actually in an amorous relationship.
Wow.
So while I'm still trying to figure this out, that auntie now production, you tell me say you want to do, you know, tell me say you want to do reproduction. While I'm still trying to, my mouth is open like this. They now start showing Tiwa Savage on one of those news channels, and her husband then T Bills just filed for a divorce. So when they are doing news and they'll be talking about Tiwa Savage, they will show Tiwa Savage's picture, they will show T Bills' picture.
Yeah.
Do you understand? They will show picture of them together.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So we placed an order for pepper soup or something. We're waiting for it to come. So that was playing. So we both looked at the screen, and as we're looking back, she just hissed. This Tiwa Savage is a very useless woman. She cannot even hold her marriage. I looked at the auntie like this. I said, in your own mind, you are holding marriage. You are in your husband's house, giving your boyfriend 3 million. He is buying car for his girlfriend with it. You are angry. Then he wants to marry your girlfriend, and you are now coming to me crying that he has broken your heart. He should not marry again. All this is being done inside marriage. Inside marriage. Is it not better to be like the Tiwa Savage that you are abusing, that went her own way, and they're figuring out their lives? Is it not much better? Somebody said, Matthew 19:9, any man who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality, if he remarries, he'll be committing adultery. Question one, are you not committing adultery inside the marriage every day? You see, one thing I learned about Christ is Christ hates sin, but more than sin, he hates hypocrisy. He hates
Yeah.
hypocrisy. So you don't want to break the marriage because of the adultery that you are committing every day. Is that not madness? Okay, now here's the thing. If you divorce, it now becomes public adultery because everybody knows that you are divorced. So if you remarry, unless the person you're married to committed um, sexual immorality. If you divorce, everybody now knows that you are now quote and unquote committing adultery. But the one you are committing inside the marriage that nobody knows, that one is okay. So how do these people think these things up? So we want to discuss this, and we also want to open up the phone lines. Let people call. It's more or less like a question and answer session. We're all going back and forth. We don't have the answers. If you're a guy, when you call, be honest. Tell us. We're all grown ups here. It's 11 o'clock. Any child that's listening to us, they should use cane and drive them to bed. It's 11 o'clock. We're talking about, we're mature people. How many times do you like it? Do you think it can? Let me tell you, I'm the kind of guy that a woman can be able to cook from here to London. A woman can be fine from here to Jamaica. A woman can be wise from here to Toronto. If she is not willing to do that one, I no sure say I fit do am, because you'll be leading me down a path of frustration. I can always get wise friends outside, female friends that are wise. My wife cannot report me to my family and say, he talks to wise women. They'll say, yes, who do you want him to talk to before? The only one I cannot collect outside is that one that must be very good in the marriage. That's one thing. If I'm hungry, I can cross the road to my neighbor. Do you know there was a time we went somewhere and we came home late, and Madame wanted to start cooking around 8 o'clock. I just entered my neighbor's house to drop something for them. They were serving my neighbor Chris some nice rice and some midomodos looking things inside. I just sat down there. As I was eating, they brought something cold to go with what I was eating. Very quickly, I devoured everything. Nobody can hold me and say I did something illegal. But if I went to somebody else's house and collected that other one, then there is trouble. Christ did not say you can, anybody who divorces his wife except she does not cook. He did not say anybody who divorces his wife except she's not beautiful, or except she's not wise, except for sexual immorality. So even sexual immorality affords you the opportunity to divorce and move on with your life. So some guy, Biribe Peter, just sent this on Facebook. He said, a friend confided in me. A man expressed how he was continuously molested at boarding school from a very young age. So he'll have it with seniors in the dormitory hostel, at least 5 girls per day. The man grew up and became a maniac, but never raped anybody, and got used to everyday satisfaction. Well, the wife got diagnosed with skin cancer, and he was warned to desist from doing it with her if he wanted her to live. He now had to look for a mistress. That is how he had to tell his misadventures. Wow.
Things are really happening.
Wow.
But seriously, I've always been a big fan of, before we even get serious, let me know your libido.
How do you know somebody's libido if you don't try it? Ada, you have been doing premarital sex. The way I'm looking at you.
And I'm not denying it. That is it. Me, I said it to my pastor back then. Like, see this, I must collect it before we even get serious.
Ah!
Yes, I can't deal. And I enter, maybe you can satisfy me, or you're just always wanting. We need to be on the same level before.
Hey! Una here? Okay, let's open up the phone lines. I like Ada's honesty, by the way. There's nothing I appreciate more than an honest person. You can't buy honesty and you can't trade it for anything else.
Or you're being economical with the truth.
Shame me. Ah. You know, I have to be careful. Some people take me very seriously, so I have to be careful not to let them down. Everybody just say, Ada, what is your level? All right, let's take phone calls.
Time for us to take phone calls. 0700
993 993.
Hello? Yes, good evening.
Let him speak up.
Please, can you speak up?
Hi, good evening. How are you doing? Good evening, sir.
Yes, he can hear you. Mm-hmm. How many times? Mm-hmm.
It has to do with our professionalism. Abi, I did not hear well.
No, you said one's personality.
Okay. You are forgiven.
Mm-hmm. How often? Once in a week?
Exactly. He said exactly.
Is your partner cool with this? Okay.
So once in a week, twice in a week is okay for you. Hmm.
Yes.
Ada, I can't see you on. Um, it's not working. Skype is off. Ada, Skype is off. Can you hear me, Ada? Skype is off. Skype is off. Let me send you a WhatsApp message. Skype is off.
It's still trying to boot.
Okay, Skype, Abby.
It's still loading.
Okay. So you can continue talking to them. Yeah, I'm here. I think it has cut me off totally now.
Yes.
Yes? What happened to the system?
Yeah, it's still. So whenever it's up,
Okay, fantastic, 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 fantastic.
It is 99.3 Nigeria info, and this is Life and Dangerous with Daddy Freeze, and of course, we're talking about sex. You know, we've been so hard during these. So, it is Thursday. I wanted to say Friday, but it's Thursday, so let's go a little bit soft. Let's talk about sex. How often do you have sex with your partner? Feel free to join the conversation. The phone number is 0700 993 993 0700 993 993 and the WhatsApp number is 0809 597 5805. If the calls and comments come through and you have any questions for that, please, oh well, feel free to drop them. But right now, we promise that we're going to be a little bit relaxed this Friday night. So quickly, let's listen to the Don't Matter by Akon. Keep it locked with the 99.3 Nigerian info.
Hey. Sorry, I've got to be careful because of YouTube. How long? Ada? Ada? How long has that song been playing? How long has that song been playing? Yes, just look at the minutes, the seconds. Wow. Because of YouTube algorithm. You know, I was just enjoying the song. I did not know that YouTube can actually flag you for that kind of stuff. YouTube can flag, you know, this. I was playing it loud from the Instagram, forgetting that I left YouTube on. No, don't worry, don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to know how long it's been on for. So I think about 20 seconds enter. That's too long. I'll have to go in and cut that bit out. But what happened? Ah, Niger. Someone said, "Thank you for bringing radio to my bedroom." Uh-uh. Okay, fantastic. Yep. I'm right there waiting for your call. Yeah. Someone said I don't have a lockdown look. Ah, Nigerian for you. Call me, I'm here. Oh. All right, we're back.
What is your sexual life with your partner? How often do you have sex? Are you the once in a week kind of guy or kind of girl, or you are the everyday like this is my food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? We done
That's
here.
me. Oh,
Is it
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Do you know that breakfast, lunch, and dinner can be so nice?
breakfast, lunch, and you want to kill somebody's daughter?
Uh-uh. What did you pay bride price for? Will you buy a car and be parking it inside your garage and not be driving it?
breakfast, lunch, and dinner can be so exhausting. I'm not talking out of experience, but I feel
Ada. Your name has changed from Ada to Ada. You know what Ada is? Cutlass.
no, I'm just trying to be honest. I feel it's going to be exhausting. might come back with a different belief.
Try it. It's very good when you meet your match. So, guys, nobody is calling to talk now. Even the uncles that are just coming back from their mistresses' houses. Let me tell you something, yeah. I had this uncle
Okay.
that never came home after 4 o'clock in his entire life. As in, as work they close 4 o'clock, they come house. He never used to go to club. You know all those guys that would go to tennis club, recreation club. Once it's done at 4 o'clock. Do you know that when this guy died and they buried him, his firstborn that thought he was his firstborn actually realized that this guy had a firstborn that was older than him.
Wow.
And then the guy had a total of 9 children. Meanwhile, there were only 4 children. He had 2 sons before he got married. He married someone briefly, had 2 sons, didn't tell the wife. Do you understand? Kept it as a secret. The guy, you know those kind of people that will go and do a 1-year course abroad. Inside that 1-year course, you'll marry person, give am belle twice, come back to Nigeria. Cut off ties with the person like say they didn't exist. Then anytime he travels abroad, he goes and makes amends. So he was managing that abroad family. Then he now had a mistress that he now paid dowry over. He paid the dowry and was going to meet her at lunch break every day, 12 to 1. So he'll go to the office in the morning. At 12, he will go to his mistress' house, eat lunch there, spend some time with her, come back to work, close at 4:30, and then come back home and not go anywhere and sit at home and behave himself like an angel.
And the wife will be thinking she married
The most charming, faithful, lovable. When all the other aunties that I know used to cry about their husbands then, she used to pet them. Sorry, God. Her own crying started after the guy died.
Wow.
And he did not have a will, as usual. Typical Nigerian man.
No will.
No will. And he was legally married to the woman abroad, legally married to her, and had paid dowry for the 3rd woman. So it was now left for the family to come and settle the matter. The first woman abroad had 2 sons who were old, as in their own. The first son's first son was older than the person that thought he was his first son. As in, if you see what they call family confusion. So he had 2 first children. He had 4 with his current wife, and then he now had 3 with the mistress. Those ones were the younger ones. One was like 8, the other one was 5, then the other one they were carrying inside arm. Say they no go dig their papa come out for inside ground, fight the dead body, that small remain. But you see, at the end of the day, I don't see that as marriage. I see that as hypocrisy. But most people, instead of them coming out to say that, look, me, I want this thing 3 times a day, they'll just realize that if you marry someone like Ada wants once a week. So they'll marry one Ada.
I'm not saying so.
Okay, twice a week, they'll marry one Ada. Then they'll not. Oh, Ada, is it every day? You never talk,
No, not twice, not every day. I am in between.
Okay, so like 5 times a week, Sha.
You're not getting it from me. I'm just really.
Okay, so if you marry one Ada for 5 times a week, then one Mary Ogenevo for another 4 times a week. You even get overlap. You get one where you go do twice that same day. So only you go dey rock. Someone said, I cheat on my girlfriend. I can see it right there on Instagram. I cheat on my girlfriend. She thinks I'm the best. I got I got caught 10 times. We're still together because I'm having, he said, because he's having the pipe good. Wow.
You shouldn't do it.
Somebody said Ada is a freak. Ada, you see, something in me is reading that this your you know when somebody know if he talks so that it will not be on phone, on record, on video that I actually admitted to this. But in all honesty, we've got to be honest with ourselves. People are not contributing to this now.
The phone lines are actually buzzing. Maybe we should take
Oh yeah, take phone lines, take phone calls.
Okay, hello. Yes, good evening. Please can you speak up?
BB Ray said, my hobby said it should be every day. Yes, now your hobby is right.
All right, Tony. Please go on. What did you say? Yes, I can hear you. Please.
What did Tony say? Please, I want to hear. Oh.
He said, Ada, this is your program now. You're really enjoying this call. You're very sharp.
This is Ada. So Larry said 3 times plus dessert. Larry Dominic, 3 times a day plus dessert. Babao.
Hello? Yes, good evening. What's your name? Nemeka.
Nemeka, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Hmm.
Every day. Okay.
Okay. Wow. All right, Ada.
Yes, please.
Okay. I wanted to talk about. I wanted to. You know, a lot of people do not understand that even the scriptures are filled with sexuality. I want to read some Bible to you.
Okay.
If you read, do you have a Bible with you?
No.
All right. So I want to read from the book of Genesis, chapter 29, and I want to read from 21. Okay? So just bear with me. It's going to be a bit of a long read, but let's work this out together. Finally, the time came for him to marry her. I have fulfilled my agreement, Jacob said to Laban. Now give me my wife so I can make love to her. New Living Translation uses sleep with her. New International Version says, make love to her. English Standard Version says that I may go in to her. King James says that I may go in to her. Anyway, I'm reading from the New Living Translation, so I just wanted to give you other translations so that you would have an understanding about what that is. So 22, that is Genesis 29:22 now. So Laban invited everybody in the neighborhood and prepared a wedding feast, but that night it was dark. So Laban took Leah to Jacob and he slept with her. Laban had given Leah a servant Zilpah to be her maid. But when Jacob woke up in the morning, it was Leah. After Baba don't do anything go do. And your body don't sweet him. When he woke up in the morning, it was Leah. What have you done to me? Jacob raged at Laban. I worked 7 years for Rachel. Why have you tricked me? It's not our custom here to marry off a younger daughter ahead of the firstborn, Laban replied. But wait until the bridal week is over. Then I'll give you Rachel too, provided you promise to work another 7 years for me. So Jacob agreed to work 7 more years. A week after Jacob married Leah, Laban gave him Rachel too. Laban gave Rachel a servant Bilhah to be her maid. So Jacob slept with Rachel too. And he loved her much more than Leah, and he stayed and worked for Laban an additional 7 years. So within 2 weeks, Baba Jacob don't clear. He don't clear 2 people. Now, if you go a little bit up, if you read Genesis 29:16, now Laban had 2 daughters. The older daughter was named Leah and the younger one Rachel. There was no sparkle in Leah's eye, but Rachel had a beautiful figure and a lovely face. Since Jacob was in love with Rachel, he told her father, I'll work with you for 7 years if you give me Rachel, your younger daughter, as my wife. So the attraction was physical. He saw the curves on Rachel's body. He saw her beautiful face, and he wanted to go in. And he worked 7 years. And the scriptures say, agreed, Laban replied, I'll give her to you more than anyone else. Stay and work with me. So Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel, but his love was so strong it seemed but a few days. So Baba don't day. 7 years just went like this. Vroom, psh. On to say Ingo fit marry Rachel. And it doesn't end there. If you now go to Genesis 30, starting from verse 1, it says, when Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She pleaded with Jacob, give me children or I'll die. Then Jacob became furious. Am I God? He asked. He's the one who's kept you from having children. Then Rachel told him, take my maid, Bilhah, and sleep with her. She will bear children for me, and through her I can have a family too. So Rachel gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob as wife, and he slept with her. Baba Jacob know the Jones. Just give him. Now so Papa Jones just clear Leah, clear Rachel, come clear Bilhah again. And it doesn't end there. Bilhah became pregnant and presented him with a son. Rachel named him Dan, for God has vindicated me. He has heard my request and has given me a son. Then Bilhah became pregnant again and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel named him Naphtali,